Christmas came early, ladies and gentlemen. We got some more class tuning. This is out 2 minutes ago, hot off the printing press. Here we go. We follow recent data and feedback on class performance. We're preparing to make adjustments to many classes with scheduled weekly maintenance in each region. All right, Riders of the Apocalypse. Trollbane's Ice Fury slow targets by 40%. Dude, they nerfed the Chains of Ice for the pets. Sweet. All right, I have to tab out. My succubus is going crazy. Okay, Feral. Rampant Ferocity now damages enemies with 8 yards of the Druid when using Ferocious Bite instead of enemies within 8 yards of the target. Perfect. Restoration. All healing increased by 4% does not apply in PvP. Oh, wow. Beast Cleave damage increased to 90%, was 80, so they buffed Beast Cleave damage. They buffed Kill Cleave damage as well. 90%. Fire Mage. Flame Strike buffed by 15%. Phoenix Flames damage buffed by 20%. The Phoenix Flames buff is nice. Living Bomb damage increased by 10%. Nice, nice. Glacial Spike damage increased by 20%. Does not apply in PvP combat. Boo! Ray of Frost damage increased by 15%. And Shadow Priest damage increased by 4%. So more Shadow Priest damage, guys. Okay. So Shadow Priest damage buffs, a little bit of Fire Mage damage. The only one relevant here, I think, is Phoenix Flames. Glacial Spike. They buff Ray of Frost. So interesting. Now let's look at PvP specific changes. All right. PvP specific changes. What are they thinking? Any you guys want to bet before we scroll down? What are we betting on here? I bet Disc gets nerfed. I bet Disc gets nerfed. That's my guess. Let's take a look. First, Death Knight. Doomburst causes Death Coil to burst 2 festering wounds. Was 3. So they nerfed Doomburst for Unholy Death Knights. Havoc Demon Hunter. Demon's Bite damage increased by 10%. Demon Blades damage increased by 10%. Chaos Strike Annihilation damage increased by 10%. And Blade Dance Death Sweep damage increased by 10%. So Unholy Decay is nerfed. Demon Hunter's buffed. Druid. Feral. Sabretooth now increases the damage of Ferocious Bites by 10%. Was 15. Increases the damage of Ferocious Bites per periodic effect by 2%. So they nerfed Sabretooth in PvP. Taste for Blood now increases the damage of Ferocious Bite by 6%. So they nerfed Taste for Blood. Rip damage increased by 25%. So they buffed Rip again. Rake initial damage increased by 25%. And its periodic damage increased by 10%. Wow. So once again, nerfing Ferocious Bite, buffing Bleeds. Bleeds are getting buff. Ferocious Bite getting a slight nerf. Okay. Dude, Feral Druids might be so scary, man. All right. Devastation, Eternity Surge nerfed by 15% in PvP combat. Oh my god. So they nerfed Eternity Surge for Dev. Okay. There's a lot of mage changes here. Okay, so let's see. Frostfire Bolt increased by 100% in PvP. What? So Frostfire Empowerment increases Frostfire Bolt damage by 30%. So they're buffing Frostfire Bolt, but they're nerfing Frostfire Empowerment. So basically what that means is your instant Frostfire Bolt is going to do about the same probably, but when you just cast Frostfire Bolt, it's going to do more damage. Okay, Arcane Blast damage increased by 45% in PvP combat. Was 15. That is a huge buff. Arcane Missiles damage increased by 20% in PvP combat. Arcane Barrage damage increased by 15%. And then they nerfed Magi Spark. So Magi Spark is like... Magi Spark is basically when you touch the Magi, you get bonus damage. A bunch of bonus damage. So they're basically making you less reliant on your touch of the Magi. And Arcane Blast should slap. Fireball damage increased by 100% in PvP combat. Was 35%. This is, just so you guys know, let me read all these. Greater Power Blast cast time reduced to 4 seconds. Now deals 30%. I kind of feel like nobody's still going to use GPI. Truth be told. So basically, they nerfed the cast of GPI by 0.5 seconds. And it does less damage. I don't think anyone's going to use this. Fireball damage increased by 100% in PvP combat. I don't know if this matters at all. And the only reason I think that is because the only time you're ever going to use Fireball is if you are playing Sun Fury. And I think Sun Fury is terrible. So I don't think you can ever not play Especially with the changes they just did to Frostfire Empowerment and Frostfire Bolt. Like, I don't think you can ever not play Fire Mage. So you'll never... I kind of feel like both of these changes are almost completely irrelevant for Fire Mage. But we'll see. Frost, Iceland's damage increased by 25% in PvP combat was 45%, so Iceland's getting nerfed even more. Frostbolt getting buffed, so Frostbolt damage increased by 150%. So Frostbolt might end up doing damage. I'm not sure. Ray of Frost damage increased. So the Ray of Frost is for sure going to be worth it now. It's getting a 15% overall damage and then an additional 5% in PvP. So I think mages are going to have that Ray of Frost window back, and a Frostbolt might actually be good. So I don't know. That's semi-interesting to me. That's semi-interesting to me. I do kind of wish that this glacial buff was for PvP, but whatever. What can you do? And then Ice Barrier Absorb is now decreased. So our shield is nerfed. Certainly there's probably going to be like hunter nerfs, right? Just so we can survive against the hunters. I hope so. So like one of the things, and like I fully acknowledge that Frostmage survivability is too high, but I don't think Ice Barrier is the culprit personally. I think it's probably the ludicrous amount of roots and snares and mobility, not Ice Barrier, but they're nerfing something. I don't know if this is the right nerf, but it's something. Monk, Mistweaver, Enveloping Mist healing increased by 20%. Vivify, primary target healing increased by 20%. That's big, man! I swear, that's big. That feels big anyways. Let me queue. That seems big. Let me queue. I missed my queue. Holy Paladin, mana regeneration reduced by 20%. Oh my god, our Holy Paladin's back. Holy sheesh. Oh my god! So their mana regeneration is better. Holy Shock healing increased by 15%. Word of Glory healing increased by 15%. And Holy Light is increased by 20%. Yeah, I think Holy Paladins are back. I'm not kidding. I think Holy Paladins are actually going to be insane. Okay. Those are big buffs. What do they do to Discipline Priest? Wheel and Woe's bonus to Powered Shield is now 50% effective in PvP combat. Okay. I don't know what that is. I don't know how much that matters. Is that huge? Their shields are a little worse. Holy Word Serenity healing increased by 40%. Holy Word Sanctify. Wow. 40% Serenity and Sanctify? Sheesh. Perfected Form now increases damage dealt during Void Form by 10%. Was 20%. Okay. And then Subtlety Rogue Reverberation now increases Echo and Reprimand damage by 50%. Was 70%. Okay, so slight sub nerf. Who are the biggest winners? I kind of feel like the new mage... Now, you guys could maybe call me coped up. I kind of feel like the new mage spec might be Arcane. Maybe I'm wrong. Frost could be interesting with Frostbolt and Ray of Frost. But yeah, Arcane is going to be good. Mage is always the biggest winner. Kinda. I mean, I actually think Holy Paladin is the biggest winner, truth be told. Ferals are crazy. Like, this is gonna give... I feel like this is gonna give Ferals more overall damage. Phoenix Flames, Living... Beast Mastery got buffed, yeah. I don't know. I don't know how big this Disc Priest change is, truthfully. I really think Paladins could be good. What does that mean for the meta, though? Like, is there any Paladin comps that could actually be good? What are they going to do? Jungle? Like Paladin Jungle? Maybe? I don't know. Asa Af? H-Pal? Maybe H-Pal Destro? Something like that? I don't really know. RM Paladin? Yeah, Rogue Mage Paladin? Just like knock out the Priest and now you just play with the Paladin instead? Arcane FM Paladin? Maybe, yeah. PHDK? That's crazy, bro. All right, those are big changes, guys. Big changes. You really think it's a big buff for Holy Paladin? Yes. I think it's a huge buff for Holy Paladin. I mean, your two main heals are Word of Glory and Holy Shock, and then you just don't go anymore. I think those are really, really big buffs.